What happens when three broke, unknown actors share a tiny New York apartment, facing rejection after rejection, unaware they'll all become Hollywood legends? The answer lies in the extraordinary friendship between Robert Duvall and Gene Hackman, a bond forged in obscurity that survived 5 decades of fame. There was something in Gene's eyes, Duvall recently revealed, his voice breaking with emotion, something that audiences could feel through the screen. But what Duvall saw in those eyes was something altogether different. Not the terrifying villain of Unforgiven, or the brilliant detective from The French Connection, but a loyal friend who stood beside him long before either man became an icon of American cinema. Today, we uncover the untold story of how these two titans of film formed a friendship that would influence not just their careers, but reshape Hollywood itself, and why Duvall still keeps a memento from their struggling days that he refuses to part with, even now. Picture a freezing winter night in New York City. Inside a cramped apartment, 3 men huddle around a small heater: Robert Duvall, Gene Hackman, and Dustin Hoffman. None have achieved fame yet. They're just struggling actors, sharing rent, running lines together, and dreaming of making it big. This unlikely trio formed a bond that would endure throughout their legendary careers. "We had nothing back then," Duvall recalled in a recent interview, "except each other." The apartment became more than just living quarters. It transformed into an informal acting studio where they would critique each other's auditions with brutal honesty that no director would dare offer. Hackman, who had been told by the Pasadena Playhouse that he had no talent and was voted least likely to succeed, found unwavering support from Duvall. They weren't just roommates, they were each other's first and most important audience. Their days followed a familiar rhythm. Mornings spent scanning casting notices, afternoons running to auditions across the city, evenings working odd jobs to make rent. When one landed a small role, they'd pool the earnings for groceries. Gene would come home with day-old bread from the bakery where he worked, Duvall once shared. "I'd contribute whatever I made as a janitor that week. We survived together." This shared struggle created a foundation that no amount of future fame could shake. Their apartment became legendary in acting circles, a crucible where 3 distinctive approaches to the craft converged. Duvall's disciplined, Meissner-influenced technique contrasted with Hackman's more intuitive approach, and Hoffman's intense method immersion. These differences sparked debates that lasted into the early morning hours, each man challenging and ultimately strengthening the other's approach to acting. As opportunities slowly came their way, their paths began to diverge, but their connection remained unbroken. When Hackman landed his breakthrough role in Bonnie and Clyde, earning his first Oscar nomination, one of his first calls was to Duvall. Years later, when Duvall finally won his Academy Award for Tender Mercies, a telegram arrived backstage from Hackman that reportedly moved Duvall to tears. Throughout the heights of their careers, they found ways to support each other from afar. Industry insiders tell of Hackman recommending Duvall for roles when directors sought his input, and Duvall doing the same for his friend. In an industry known for cutthroat competition, their mutual advocacy was remarkable, a testament to a friendship that transcended professional rivalry. What made Hackman's performances so unforgettable was his unique ability to humanize villainous characters. His portrayal of Sheriff Little Bill Daggett in Unforgiven wasn't just menacing, it was layered with a distorted sense of justice that made him all the more terrifying. As Lex Luthor in Superman, he balanced megalomaniacal schemes with an irresistible charm. Duvall has often noted this rare quality in his friend. Gene could make you understand even the most despicable character. He found the person beneath the monster. This talent set Hackman apart from many of his contemporaries. While other actors might play villains as one-dimensional antagonists, Hackman infused each role with psychological complexity that challenged audiences' expectations. His performance as Harry Call in The Conversation, a paranoid surveillance expert slowly unraveling, showcased this nuance perfectly. Despite their busy careers taking them to opposite ends of the country, Duvall and Hackman maintained their connection through phone calls and occasional reunions. When they did share the screen, audiences witnessed a unique chemistry born from decades of friendship. Though their on-screen collaborations were few, colleagues noted how they seemed to communicate without words. A slight glance or subtle gesture, conveying meaning that went beyond the script. Working with Gene was like a shorthand, Duvall once explained. We understood each other's rhythms completely. This connection wasn't lost on directors, who observed how scenes between the two often required fewer takes and yielded more authentic interactions, their real-life history infusing their performances with an unmatched depth. What many don't realize is how Duvall and Hackman influenced each other's career choices throughout the decades. They would often call to discuss potential roles, offering perspectives that shaped their decisions. After watching Hackman in Mississippi Burning, Duvall reportedly told him, "You've raised the bar for all of us." Similarly, Hackman called Duvall after seeing The Apostle, simply saying, "That's what it's all about, Bobby." This ongoing artistic dialogue enriched both their careers, pushing each to continually evolve as performers. Those who worked with both men noted how they would occasionally reference each other's techniques on set, evidence of their continuing influence on one another's craft long after they had moved out of that New York apartment. When Hackman announced his retirement from acting in 2004 to focus on writing novels, many in Hollywood expressed surprise and disappointment. But Duvall defended his friend's decision fiercely. Gene gave everything he had to his roles for decades, he stated in interviews. He earned the right to walk away on his own terms. This protection of each other extended throughout their careers. Neither would tolerate criticism of the other in their presence. Though typically private about their personal lives, both would occasionally reference the other in interviews, always with a reverence that spoke volumes about their connection. Unlike many Hollywood friendships that dissolve when cameras stop rolling, theirs endured through career highs and lows, personal struggles, and industry changes. What makes their bond particularly remarkable is how it survived the potential pitfalls that typically destroy relationships in the entertainment industry. They navigated competitive award seasons where they sometimes found themselves nominated in the same category. They weathered critics' inevitable comparisons of their performances and careers. They resisted the industry's tendency to pit successful actors against one another. Through it all, their mutual respect never wavered. Duvall has been quoted saying, "Gene never had a jealous bone in his body, and that's extraordinary in our business." This generosity extended to their craft as well. Both were known for giving scene partners room to shine, never attempting to upstage even when the camera wasn't focused on them. The legacy of Hackman's performances continues to influence new generations of actors, with many citing his work as foundational to their understanding of character development. Duvall, now one of Hollywood's elder statesmen, often shares stories of their early days when mentoring young actors. He emphasizes the importance of forming genuine connections rather than viewing peers solely as competition. "What Gene and I had, that's what sustained you through the madness of this business," he tells them. Their story serves as a powerful counter-narrative to Hollywood's reputation for superficiality and disposable relationships. In an industry where connections often form and dissolve based on utility, Duvall and Hackman demonstrated how authentic friendship could thrive for decades, enriching not just their lives but their art. Now, as Duvall reflects on the passing of his dear friend, his memories aren't primarily of Hackman the actor, but of Gene the man, the struggling roommate who would bring home day-old bread, the friend who called after each major life event, the colleague who always made time to read his scripts and offer honest feedback. When Duvall speaks of Hackman today, it's with the warmth reserved for family, not the reverence one might use to describe a legendary actor. He shares anecdotes about their shared struggles, inside jokes, and the countless small moments that defined their connection. In doing so, he offers us a glimpse of the man behind the performances, a man whose complexity, humanity, and authenticity matched the characters he so brilliantly portrayed on screen. From that freezing New York apartment to the pinnacle of Hollywood success, Robert Duvall and Gene Hackman's friendship reminds us of what lies beneath the glossy surface of fame, the human connections that give meaning to achievement. While audiences worldwide know them for their unforgettable characters, perhaps their greatest performance was one never captured on film, two friends who refused to let success change what mattered most. In an industry built on fleeting connections and carefully constructed images, they offered something revolutionary: authenticity that no script could capture and no award could honor. As Duvall continues to carry the torch of their shared history, he preserves not just the legacy of one of cinema's greatest actors, but a profound truth that transcends Hollywood itself. Behind every great performance lies something even more powerful: the enduring impact of true friendship.